Frack on. Welcome to the episode of Frack the Canon. This time we're going to review the ending of Falcon and the Winter Soldier. I'm sorry, let me correct that. Captain America and the Winter Soldier. So let's start with that ending. What did you guys feel? How did you feel about Sam Wilson taking on the mantle of Captain America?
Not surprised. Happened in the comics.
Do you think it was earned though, and like the way they said it here? Like in the comics, I don't. Again, I didn't read Captain America comics for the
Mhm.
longest time, and I think he became Captain America like 10 years ago, maybe 5 years ago.
Yeah, it was like 2015,
That
something
sounds
like that.
about right. I think so. Well, so what
Yeah.
did you guys? I mean, aside from the comic, we'll stick to the MCU continuity. What did you guys think? How did you feel?
Yeah.
Uh, yeah,
Sorry, CJ. I was just gonna say, what they did, I think, establish well is show us what Steve saw in Sam, because something Sam is we learn more and more about is he's really good at seeing people for like seeing every human being as like equal, and that's like invaluable to like the spirit of Captain America, I think. And that's one of the strongest things about the series, I think, is Sam's pursuit of like goodness,
Mm-hmm.
and kind of Bucky's too. But how? So I do think it was earned, and I think the prior episode um, kind of helped sell that him becoming Captain America. I'll just say.
CJ.
yeah, I would to answer your question, I would say yes as well. I think it was earned. I don't know how it is in the comic books. I probably wouldn't feel the same way, but I'm not gonna prejudge it. I haven't read it. But I didn't. I mean, I didn't. I went into the series like before we started the series, not really wanting Sam to be Captain America because whatever Captain America, that's Steve Rogers, whatever. You know what I mean? Like, but I felt like after the oh, okay, they're gonna make him Captain America because like that's what the show is leading us to. You know what I mean?
Mm-hmm.
But by the end of the series, like even though like I still didn't really want him to be Captain America. Like I do feel like he earned it. They did a really good job at like giving us this journey. Like I can completely like the way they showed like him come arrive at this decision to become Captain America. It's like okay, well, there's no way he can't be Captain America then. You know what I mean? Like he literally has to be Captain America. You know what I mean? Like, and it's a great story. And it makes sense. And I like it. You know what I mean? And one of the things that like I really have come to appreciate since the Dark Knight trilogy. Um, is this idea that like movies are different from comic books, right? Like
Mm-hmm.
there's novel adaptations of like they're movie adaptations of novels, right? Like but you have to be a different thing. You know what I mean? Like there are things that don't translate like to a movie. You know what I mean? There are things that do. That's why they do it all the time. But like there are things that don't translate. And the same thing is true for comic books. And like unlike a lot of times when I think about like manga to anime
Mm-hmm.
adaptations, you know what I mean? Those are like a lot more one to one. When you come to something like comic books, they typically just take the ideas of the comics, you know what I mean? Like and like some story arcs, you know what I mean? They might be based on, but there's a lot of just ideas and maybe just like runs or this person's thoughts on what this character should be, you know what I mean? So like I really appreciate it when a comic book movie can break new ground, can do something that comics can't do, like Dark Knight Rises. I won't go into my complete thoughts on that movie, whatever. I think it's cool for the most part, but freaking, um, they ended Batman. They ended Batman. This is the end of Bruce Wayne's story, right? You know what I mean? Like that's something like I appreciate that, right? Like comics can't do that because you have to keep the Batman story going. In game, they like ended this story of the Avengers. Obviously, it's kind of still going, but like in a significant way, they ended the story of Iron Man and Captain America. You know what I mean? And the Avengers, like in a significant way, ended that.
Mm-hmm.
So they're breaking new ground. They can do what the comics can't do. Like Sam in the comics can become Captain America, but that's probably not going to be forever because it's the comics. You know what I mean? And eventually Captain America is going to swing back to Steve Rogers, or he is Captain America at the same time. Sam is Captain America, but they call him Captain America Star, and they call Sam Captain America Moon. You know what I mean? Like freaking, whatever. Like freaking, like they have to. It's a comic. They have to go back to eventually what it was and create new drama based off of that. Like, but the movies don't. You know what I mean? And like there are different reasons why it won't be going back to Steve Rogers. They really are passing the mantle. They're doing something. They're breaking this new ground, and because they're doing that specifically, right? Besides all the race stuff that made me cry, besides all the character stuff that like it was all like this specifically, just breaking that these characters have never really seen. You know what I mean? Like is awesome. You know what I mean? Like, and that's something like that I can't deny. You know what I mean? This character is past this mantle, and like this is just how it is now. You know what I mean? It's not going to be something that's going to swing back. You know what I mean? Because like Steve Rogers is gone from the MCU. You know what I mean? So going forward, this is now the Captain America mantle. You know what I mean? Like, and yeah, maybe they should be passed, and maybe Armor Wars is going to be like this. You know what I mean? Like, who's the next Iron Man kind of a thing? You know? But that's getting far ahead, and I've rambled too long.
So I wanted to talk to you about you said about path race stuff. Do you think that race stuff plays outside of the U.S.? The Black Captain America was not going to play outside of the U.S. Like, do you think someone in Mexico or someone in the UK, someone in Africa would resonate as much as strongly as we did, as you and I did? We talked about it. You know, would they feel as what are your thoughts?
I think it goes to I think it goes to what I think it goes to bigger than that though too, right? Like
Right.
it goes to I'm gonna jump off of what Tyler was saying earlier in that like we get to see why Steve Rogers chose Sam. You know what I mean?
Right.
This
Okay.
idea that Sam can see people for who they are. He can just see people for who they are. You know what I mean? Like he has this great ability to see the best in people and like see if maybe he can get through to them. You know what I mean? Like, and it's like he's not above like fighting if he has to. You know what I mean? Like he understands that there are some people we can't talk down. You know what I mean? Like, but he's going to try that first. But this, I think the idea of this character be black or whatever, or Mexican or whatever, like the idea of this character is endearing. You know what I mean? Like
Okay.
one of the things I wanted to bring up as to this character, it reminds me of like it's easy to fall in love with characters like this. You know what I mean? Like it reminds me what I liked about Sam in this series reminds a lot of what I like about Deku in My Hero Academia, especially like the first season. You know what I mean? It's like I fall in love with this guy. You know what I mean? Because he's just so friggin' wholesome, and he just wants like the right thing so bad. You know what I mean? Like, and he wants to do right by everybody, and he tries so hard. You know what I mean? Like to make that happen. And it's the same thing in Sam, and I think that's something that itself reaches across race bonds. You know what I mean? Like if you're evolved enough to accept it, you know what I mean?
Okay.
Like it's this is something that reaches beyond that. Now if you can see the person beyond the color, then it shouldn't be an issue, kind of a thing, you know.
Overall, I still have issues with Falcon being Captain America. I like the suit. I still don't like that he's calling himself, or they're calling him Captain America. I'm like, but the Falcon is his own man. And we talked about this in previous episode about legacy characters. I'm like, but he's his own man. I'm still kind of, I'm still not fully convinced. I still don't like that he's Captain America. That he's called Captain America. Go ahead, yes, Tyler.
Two things. First, who gave him the name Falcon? And that was my thing I've noticed is he didn't. I don't think he gave himself the name Falcon, and then second, the long joke that was planted, the seed of the long joke that was planted in Baltimore, of the kid saying Black Falcon.
Hey, it's Black Falcon!
It's just Falcon, kid.
No, my daddy told me it's Black Falcon.
Is it because I'm black and I'm the Falcon?
Well, technically, I mean, yes.
So are you like Black Kid? I got him, right?
Whatever, man.
he wouldn't have that payoff if he didn't call himself Captain America. So it was worth it in my opinion.
Okay.
I don't agree with you, Renee. One thing I would change. I know that the suit, and I texted you this earlier, but I know that the suit is like comic accurate, but the cowl. I don't like how the cowl. I don't like that. Like, I want them to change that a little bit. Like, I don't know, maybe separate it or something. I don't know. Like, I know that's what it looks like in the comics, but I don't know, it's like bunchy. You know, it kind of bends. Looks tacky. I think. You know what I mean? Like in real life. I don't know.
I know. It's interesting to say the least. So I just like it felt. What else? Sharon Carter becoming, or not becoming. She's always being the power broker.
Come back and work for me again, all of you. We can make a difference together.
You just want me because you need your muscle back. Without our super soldiers, how much power does a power broker really have?
In the last episode of Fat Man Beyond, they said that the bad guys don't use iPhones; they use Androids. So when Kevin Smith put that out, I'm like, oh my god, that's right. Sharon Carter's rocking.
Please, if it weren't for me, you'd still be rotting away in that Algerian prison.
An Android. Did you guys, have you noticed that?
Yeah, I did too. And my thing on Sharon Carter is like, I still don't believe she's the power broker. I suspect at some level she's doing some double agent stuff. Just saying.
You think so?
Or she's a Skrull, or she's part of the Secret Invasion, because that's another show down the line too.
Ooh.
It is, and it's coming soon.
Mm-hmm.
I don't think that she. I mean, they tell us that she's the power broker, so I have really not much choice but to believe that until they show me otherwise. But I don't necessarily feel like she's even a villain. You know what I mean? Like, she's just getting hers, kind of a thing. You know what I mean? Like, freaking. She's just in business, you know what I mean? Like, the country turned her back on her. She's like making it the best way she can, and she's talking about selling stuff and stealing stuff. I guess thieving makes you a bad guy. Yeah, I guess that is Catwoman's a bad guy. You know? So
wait, what? Catwoman's a bad guy?
But like, she wasn't like, you know what I mean? Like, I don't. Maybe she is out here killing people. She did threaten Carly, but like, and she did kill.
She did.
Freaking. Like, I didn't really get the sense that she's just a villain. She's just, she's just not as wholesome as she used to be, kind of a thing.
To me, because I'm like, I hope it's that what you said. It's a twist. That's a double triple agent thing. I just like I'm like I don't buy it. Like, it came out of nowhere.
Because it makes sense. She worked for Fury directly.
Really?
In Winter Soldier, she directly reported Fury when she was spying on Steve Rogers. So that's why I'm doing the Secret Invasion connection, because Fury's leading that thing too, that thing with the Skrulls.
Interesting. Okay. It was cool. I just like I don't know. To me, I feel like she's a villain. Go ahead, TJ.
Well, okay. Well, were you still on this? Because I was going to see what you guys' thoughts were on the, I guess, redemptive arc of John.
It was too
Did that
fast.
exist?
There was a moment where he decided to grab a bus instead of hit Carly.
Like, he let the shield go to grab them. I'm like I don't know this. Here's I'm conflicted, because like we've talked in the past, he's a soldier. He's killed people in the past. So like, how is this any different? I mean, okay, fair. No, he has killed people in the past as a soldier, as a private soldier, but now he's Captain America, right? So there's that. So I'm like, it's not out of character for that character to kill, right? So I'm like, is it redemptive? Does he need to be redeemed? Like,
I think he got court-martialed and whatever, so he lost the shield.
Well, he got court-martialed.
Right. Which in a way is kind of worse, because it's publicly. But he lost the shield, so I thought that was like metaphorically him losing his heroism, and he lost his partner too. So like, that's him losing somewhat of his humanity too, because that was like his tie to like being not a PTSD soldier person. So I think his moment there is like the beginning of his future arc of a thing. I don't think it's like I'm all of a sudden better because I chose to save these people. It's I'm starting this path of becoming better.
But I will say that though, when Carly said, "Oh, he was nobody." I'm like, he was nobody.
I didn't mean to kill your friend. I don't want to hurt people that don't matter.
That did get to me. I'm like, okay,
Mm-hmm.
he still cared. He did still see him. That still kept to me some of John Walker's humanity.
Mm-hmm.
Go ahead.
Just a follow-up question, because a follow-up question too, Tyler, based on your answer. So do you feel like then John is a loose end of the show?
Yeah, and I heard I don't know if this is confirmed yet, but there's going to be like a Captain America 4. So does that mean that we're going to see more of that arc as well as Bucky and the new Captain America's arc? So that's why I think there's a loose end. I also heard there's going to be a season 2 of this possibly. So if there is, potentially they might use that to set up for like the Thunderbolts or something, or like West Coast Avengers or any of the other teams the U.S. Agent was a part of.
I think West Coast Avengers would be the way to go. But well, he became at the end. He's officially U.S. Agent by
Right.
Now this is more like it.
It's the same, but black.
Yeah, well,
Yeah.
things are about to get weird. So when they do, we're not gonna need a Captain America. We're gonna need a U.S. agent.
the Countess.
Lady from Seinfeld.
Elaine.
Yeah.
What is it? What? Yeah, Contessa. Whatever. Dot.
Yeah.
But overall, so my favorite moment, actually, the whole thing, the one that really got to me, the one that really got me tearing up, I literally started tearing up, is when Sam takes Isaiah to the Captain America monument,
Mm-hmm.
and he sees, I'm like, dude, yes.
Now they'll never forget what you did for this country. Never.
Yes. Now that, and I was talking to you about this offline, I want to see Truth, Red, White, and Black miniseries. I want to see Isaiah Bradley's Adventures, live action.
I really wanted to see that in the last episode when Isaiah was talking to Sam and telling his story. I wanted to see that then. Like I wanted that ever since I saw Isaiah Bradley in episode 3. Like I was like, please let me see that. Let me see because I know where they're going. So let me see that. Like I want to see that. But when they didn't give it to us, I mean, I guess I don't know that I wouldn't want to see it, but when they didn't give it to us, like I accept what they gave us, kind of a thing. You know what I mean? Because I did think that was a very powerful scene, and I do want to commend the series for like really going there in a way that I didn't expect them to, and it did not feel like it was pandering at all to me. And it was Disney, and it was freaking done in a way like that. It was so crazy because it was like it was just done in a realistic way. It was just done in a way like, well, we can't really ignore this, like. So in that case, it made it very meta too. You know what I mean? It's like, well, this is kind of what people are going to say about this period. This is even what fans said when it happened in the comics. You know what I mean? So it's like, we can't really get around this. So it's just, we're just kind of take it head on. And like, cause it was like in an early episode, it was the Isaiah Bradley episode. That crazy thing with Isaiah Bradley happens, and then they walk outside and immediately are like stopped by cops. And I was just like, there's a lot of nuance to this scene, so I'm not immediately put off by it. But at the same time, the fact that they stack these two scenes together, there's something weird about that. That is kind of almost putting me off by it. But I kept saying then I will wait to the end of the series to see how they play this. Is this just set dressing? Is this meaningless, or is this going to like come in later on? And so to their credit, like it was something that was in the DNA of the show, and it is something that they did, I feel like, pay off in a decent way. You know what I mean? Like they used it. You know what I mean? It wasn't useless. It wasn't just set dressing to fluff, to surface level fluff the show up. You know what I mean? No, they did use it to make the show greater, and it was an inspired choice. And so I do have to commend the show for going there and not, I don't know. I don't know what the right word to say is, not mucking it up kind of a thing. You know what I mean? Just going there, Yeah. And like, it's weird for me to say, I hate when people say like as a black man, but it's weird for me to say as a black man. I hate when people say that. But freaking,
especially when you're not black. Sorry.
I mean, because I just feel like, whatever, you shouldn't have to, do that kind of thing, whatever. Right. But obviously there are reasons. Obviously, you know what I mean? Like, whatever, who cares? Freaking, it touched me like on that level, I will say, on that cultural level. And it's weird for me to say that about a fucking Disney Marvel show. Like, you know what I mean? Like, freaking, oh my God. Like, but it touched me on that level. Like, the fact, I don't know. But, and I have to commend it.
So here's something that I noticed thinking about it, like, right now. I was like, in hindsight, the trailers showed us a political thriller, right? Like, something akin to Winter Soldier, the movie. But I ended up getting, not only that, but I ended up getting, like, a cultural... Not something about racism, but a show about race, right? And that was like, I didn't. It for lack of a better word, because it wasn't subtle. It was pretty heavy-handed too, but they gave me that political thriller when talking about race ideology. It's all about ideology, and they brought, and I didn't know, I didn't know what's happening till the end, when it's that fight scene between Zemo, Carly, John, and the Falcon. I'm like, oh, this is the physical manifestation of their
Bartrock.
Yeah.
No, and I think something that's important to establish about this show too. You mentioned that you thought it'd be a political thriller. There was a lot of elements of that, and there's a lot that was cut out of the show because there's this whole like global pandemic they had in it that they cut out. You could tell in episode 2 when they were stealing medicine. It was Disney's request of the producers of the show to remove that element. So it may have had a lot more political elements to it, and it really seemed like there was a lot missing, because at the end when the senators were like, you don't understand, like, what do you do about the people who came back from the blip or whatever?
This isn't about easy decisions, Senator.
You just don't understand.
I'm a black man carrying the stars and stripes. What don't I understand?
And that I think that was also kind of a tie-in to the racial element, because, these are people who weren't treated as the same as the people who've been around for the past 5 years, like what happened to Sam at the bank. Even if he was a superhero, the guy at the bank was like, hey, we can't just give this to everyone, not, that sort of thing. And there was that. I'd also want to mention, because of John Walker's PTSD and how Sam was treated at the bank, they're also making like a reference to like veterans in society too, I think. So there's a lot of stuff for this show. I super major kudos to Disney Plus for mentioning that.
Go ahead, sorry.
Oh, sorry, no, yeah, ideology is what I was going to say too, but I think what you were talking a little bit about was like Carly, is that her name?
Mm-hmm.
Morgenthau? She
Carly, whatever.
Yeah, she was supposed to be the glue in this thing, and her weakness as a character and her lack of intimidation, anything, really made this whole thing fall apart in some ways.
Really?
In my opinion. I think that's because what's missing in this show, because like something that's motivating her is like the loss of the older person in her life. I guess that was supposed to be to this virus or whatever. I guess maybe that the government didn't have enough resources to take care of everyone because they're spread too thin or whatever. So that was like her whole motivation for this whole thing. And her weakness as a character is, like, we don't really know her motivation, just that she's mad at the government for being bad at resources. And I think if we had that and knew that about her, more about her motivation, her tie to, like, Sam being one of the good ones would make more sense. Because the correlation I have between her and Sam is, well, Sam was not here for 5 years. So maybe that's the connection they have, because they were both blinked away or whatever. But like, that's the only thing that makes sense to me, because there is some humanity to her. Like, she kills anyone involved with the GRC, but then she doesn't kill, like, people who weren't involved with the GRC. Like, she'll kill the senators, but not, like, regular people. So all that turned into stuff that was really vague, that pulled away from the story for me. And I think with whatever's on the cutting room floor would have totally fixed that stuff.
I don't know if I agree, because I agree. Here's the thing. I think we should have seen something more personal with Carly. I think as to why she doesn't want this. She said there was a lot of saying and not showing with her. At least I felt, because it got me. It got me to think about WandaVision when you were saying that, Kyler. And we saw a lot of Wanda's stuff. It was all backstory for us too, though. We've seen the other 22 movies prior to WandaVision. So yeah, I think you're right. I think it would have helped if we would have seen it and not told. Because I think she did have, her motivation was. It took me a while to understand. I'm like, wait, what? Until I think it was until episode 4 or 5 where like, okay, I understand what you really want. I wasn't fully sure. Going back to the conversation though, where Sam says that to the senators or whatever from the GRC, I'm like, that's a humanitarian crisis that's happening right now, dude, in our own borders. Right now. So I'm like, it's very relevant. It's a very relevant topic right now. And I think there was some issues where it was heavy-handed at sometimes, and sometimes, like, because I remember talking to TJ, it's like, I don't know what the show is. Something that's really heavy-handed.
Did I see your ID?
I don't have ID.
Man,
Why?
Just calm down.
I am calm. What do you want? We're just standing here
Just
talking.
give him your ID.
No, I'm not giving him shit. We're just talking.
Hey, look, is this guy bothering you?
No, he's not bothering me. Do you know who this is?
I'm just really, really light. Like with Zemo dancing. I'm like, that's my favorite moment in Marvel history. Followed by Captain America and Meow Meow. But it was like,
yeah. Apparently, there's a 2-minute scene that you can watch on YouTube.
Dude, there's an hour cut.
Well, yeah, there's a 2-minute scene though that was the original cut that they cut out. Like, there's just 1 second of him doing this in the show. Yeah.
Anything else you want to talk? Any other final comments? Anything you want to say about CJ? Looks like you want to say something.
Well, yeah, just like I mean, you kind of said what I was going to say. Like, to Tyler's point about Carly Morgenthau was that, like, yeah, like, it's always better to show, not tell. But with Carly's motivation, they did a lot of more telling us than showing us. And so, like, in that respect, like, I can see where you can come off at that. I actually, like, and it took me kind of closer to what René was saying. It took me some time to get on board. It was a little rocky, and maybe it's because, like what you were saying, a whole subplot was cut out. But towards the end of the series, I actually started to get where they were doing with Carly, and I started to like it a lot more. Because like when we got to like episode 4, I think it was like 3, 4, and 5, like just kind of her arc throughout there, and it wasn't a big arc, but just kind of her arc throughout those episodes. When we got there, I was just like, oh, they're like building a villain. Like at first, I thought she was like just, you know what I mean? I thought she was just like this other party. And then once we got there, I was like, oh, they're building a villain. And then I really liked that. I was like, oh, okay, like she's evolving into a villain, like, and that's what's her arc. You know what I mean? That's just where they're taking it. So I was like, oh, okay, that then I start to like it. But I totally understand your gripe on it, though, definitely.
So, which you like more out of the two? WandaVision and Falcon and Winter Soldier. Which to you is your favorite?
I will say WandaVision, and by a hair. And I will say WandaVision because I like both of them, but WandaVision just has just a slight level of polish that I feel like was lacking in Falcon and Winter Soldier. There's just like this slight level of polish where I feel like if I watch WandaVision from front to back, it'll feel like a movie. Cut out the credits or whatever. It'll feel like I'm watching an MCU movie. Falcon and Winter Soldier, like it's like a movie, but like there's a little element that feels like I'm watching a show. So there's just a slight lack of polish on some of the stuff. You know what I mean? Maybe like they could have took a take one more time, or they like use the, you know what I mean? They just weird cut or the weird edit, or they just, I don't know. Like there's just this little lack of polish on Falcon and Winter Soldier, and so I like WandaVision. I feel like even though I don't think like the story was perfect, I think the execution almost was though. So that's my thought.
Experience wise for me, Falcon and Winter Soldier was more fun. But I do feel like with WandaVision you had a really close tie-in to the MCU before it. Whereas like Falcon and Winter Soldier, it feels like everything's brand new and they're just trying to cram a lot of story into a small amount of space. So for MCU connectivity, definitely WandaVision. And last thing I'd say about that, if Falcon and Winter Soldier was 2 more episodes, I imagine that it would be like an easier decision to make on which one of those two would have been better.
It took me a while I told you the first couple of issues, I was a comic book fan. The first couple of episodes were a chore for me to watch. I'm not gonna lie. I'm watching it because it's Marvel. I'm like, what is going on? Like, I know I didn't know where they were going, but I'm gonna go with WandaVision as the winner, or the one that I prefer the most personally, because I felt it was a human piece, and it was something that everyone collected about grief. Like I just felt like I'm like, go girl, you go Wanda. I totally understood her plight. I totally understood her wanting to escape into your own world. I'm like, I got it. This one was a little bit more big, was a little bit more political, and it was I don't know, like, and like CJ said, it wasn't as polished. There was some stuff that felt really clunky. I'm like, wait, what? Like it didn't feel as smooth as the other Marvel stuff. Even the Netflix shows. I'm like, it didn't feel as clean or as polished, like you said. That's it. But I still love the story. It took me a minute to understand where they were going to. I'm like, oh, okay. It felt like they were discovering, like, it felt like they were clumsily leading themselves to where they were going. Like, we're going. This is the end goal, but how are we getting there? You know, like, well, WandaVision put a little bit more like we know where we're going. And it was the more arty. It was the most arty part 2 one. I don't know. I have nothing else to say.
In hindsight, like I'll put this question to you guys too, because obviously COVID freaking jumbled the Marvel schedule, and Falcon and Winter Soldier was, well, Black Widow was supposed to be the first thing that we would have gotten, and then like we would have gotten Falcon and Winter Soldier first out of the gate as far as like show wise, and then WandaVision later. In hindsight, like I feel like I'm glad we got WandaVision first, because I feel like, I don't know, I wouldn't have wanted to go back to what WandaVision is after I watched this, and I feel like I like this better even because I watched WandaVision first. Like WandaVision was like a nice departure because there was a huge hiatus too. You know what I mean? It's like we didn't get Marvel anything, and then we were like chomping at the bit for Marvel anything too. You know what I mean? It's like, give me anything. Yep. I Love Lucy what? It's like, oh, this is cool. Oh, this is cool. Yeah, no, this is cool. Like, so it was like perfect. It was like the perfect time for everybody to love WandaVision, I feel like. You know what I mean? And then, like, after everybody loved WandaVision, it's like perfect to get back to normal. You know what I mean? With what Falcon and Winter Soldier is kind of like back to basics for like Marvel stuff. So, but yeah, I wanted to put that question to you guys. Like, how do you feel about like the jumbled timeline that we are now in? This alternate freaking Marvel universe that we are in now.
I'm glad that we got WandaVision first too, because I'm like, all right, this is like, they gave us the arty farty one first. So I'm like, well, here we go. Let's see how it happens. I'm glad that because that was, like you said, like the whole world was watching that. It feels like the whole world was watching that. It was so well told. So I even put my mom on it. My mom was like, wait, what's happening? Is that robot her husband? Like, why is she doing this? Like is she like? And my mom started getting. My mom was doing this. Like she started getting into it. I'm like, oh my god, so it's really well told. If I can get my mom into it, it's a good show. But yeah, I'm glad it did. I don't think I can get my parents to watch this one. No way.
Yeah, and I think Disney's handling the reorganizing the schedule the absolute best way they could have, and makes sense to some extent because like Bob Iger was on like the California reopening board or whatever, so he may have had some insight and may have used that information to help inform how to reorganize the schedule. I'm actually super stoked for Black Widow to us finally be able to see that. And I'm hoping we get more and more Marvel stuff from here on out.
Me too. All righty. Well, is that it? Anything else? No. All righty. Well, thank you for watching. Thank you for joining us. We'll see you same fracking time, same fracking channel. Frack off.